It's May, and May is a busy month usually. It's the end of the school year. And this particular May, my oldest daughter came home from college. So she came home last Friday, and then on Sunday, our family went and spent the whole day at the Whole Earth Festival, which is a wonderful um, weekend of crafts and vegetarian food and music and all kinds of experiential things, and a great way to socialize because I get to see some friends I haven't seen for a while and spend the day with my family. And then Monday, I got to go to a Bernie Sanders rally in Sacramento, which was just amazing. And then Tuesday and Wednesday nights, my younger two daughters, who are in eighth grade, did their eighth grade presentations. So each year, the eighth graders do a project and they present it to the whole school community. And of course, my girls were on two different nights. So, needless to say, it's been a very busy week, and yet it's been a very spring-like week. And in spring, not only are the bees buzzing and all of these things are happening in such a delightful kind of a way, we can start to feel the energies sneak on us in a way that feels a little bit overwhelming. Excitement, and yet, wow, there's a lot. Not only are things getting busy for me personally, and spring is here and things are happening, but I've certainly noticed the busy buzz of our energies that are impacting the planet right now. As we are moving into our own awakening, this energy, this buzz, is going to start affecting us in more and more substantial ways. What that might look like are things like, I'm really getting a sense that I need to move, or I am moving, I'm right in the middle of a move, or maybe it'll show up in ways that are about relationships changing in ways that feel like, okay, this is coming to an end, but something is starting, right? The question is, what's coming up for you? And I don't want to say, what do you want? Because many times when we look at manifesting, we often think, what do you want? And, let's visualize what we want. This is what's kind of tickling you. What's churning inside that center of yours? Or is it just you feel this sense of a buzz and there's this sense of something coming, but you're not really clear what that is? We're going to explore that a little bit in this episode. So if you've been feeling that sense of it's time to do something, then perhaps you look at, what is it that I'm being called to do? Ask yourself, what is it that is arising in me? And rather than thinking about what you want and how to get there, instead feel into what I would say the center of your being, your third chakra, perhaps your will, and feel what it is telling you about, what do I will? Not what do I want, but what do I will? Personally, I am finding that I am in a lot of changes. So, for example, my children are graduating from school, right? My youngest are graduating from eighth grade. My son's going to be graduating from high school. My oldest later in the year from college. So it's a big year for us. And as well, I'm shifting out of my older jobs, the things that I've been doing for the past many years, into really focusing more on this work that I do. What happens when we want to move forward and we have a lot of energies of resistance, whether it's our own resistance, our own fear, or whether it's a suppressive system, what we can do is meet that, let's say, confrontation with presence, with awareness, and with willingness. Now, before I go into the specifics on meeting those resistances or those confrontations that seem to arise, I'd like to explore a little bit further this notion of, what do I will? Now, as we evolve spiritually, what happens naturally is that our ego begins to dissolve. Now, our ego will never completely go away because we are human, and it's sort of the glue that binds our spiritual self with our human self. But it can be in a way that remains neutral and in a back seat rather than driving the bus, right? And so what happens when our ego begins to dissolve, it becomes less noisy, less demanding. And what we may find is that what we consider desires or what do we want, those are harder to identify. And that's why I'm inviting you to feel into this more neutral energy of what do I will. Now, this is where we somehow discover what we might consider divine will. Now, I don't really care where in the body you find it or if you experience it as my will or divine will, but by tuning into what do I will as a question, as a feeling, as a place of curiosity, it allows us to experience something that's a little bit more powerful, a little bit more significant, and perhaps a little bit more neutral in terms of our direction. Now, we don't have to do anything with it. We can simply just be with it and be curious. Now, to go into this place of where do we meet these resistances and what do we do with them? Well, if we can be present, if we can experience whatever the resistances are with presence, just being there, right? Most of us want to escape, want to say, oh, I'm feeling some resistance, therefore it must not be, in the right timing or whatever, right? And we want to just avoid it altogether. Resistance doesn't feel so good usually. And then to bring awareness. What is going on with me? What is it that I am experiencing as resistance? Is it something that's happening internally? Is it something that people are telling me? Is it an external belief system or projection from someone else? So just bring awareness, presence and awareness. And then finally, willingness. Well, that's kind of funny because what does that mean when we're talking about our divine will? It's like, does that mean I'm willing to take action? No, just be willing, right? To have a willing openness to say yes to whatever arises. So not only are you present and not only are you aware, but you're saying yes to what is. And you're willing to keep exploring, to keep wondering, to stay open to what might come. So I'm curious, are you feeling the buzz of the collective movement to do, to explore your will, or are you just plain busy? It might be a little bit of both. For me, it is. I absolutely am so busy in May that it's kind of ridiculous. However, what was different that I noticed this month was how this collective movement to move us into a direction that we are really wanting to grow into as spiritual human beings is arising. I invite you to play with it, to explore it, to allow it to churn a little bit. In fact, maybe we don't act on it right away. In fact, I'm not going to. There's so much coming up for me, but rather than being more directive and decisive and saying, here's what I've decided and here's what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a little bit. Play and be curious and explore and allow, mostly because I've been so directive my whole life and have made lots of decisions, and not that they've gone wrong, but this has a new impulse. It's more of an invitation for me to just see what's there, see what's arising that's bigger than what I could possibly stick into a box and direct in any way. So much is growing inside of us, so much is happening for us, and as we continue to evolve and our will starts to shift from this smaller desire-based will into a larger, more altruistic, more purposeful, divine will, we have so much to learn about ourselves and about our place in the world. And as we become more in tune to what might be forming, it helps us understand who we are to a greater degree. So let's explore some more. Let's play some more. Let's not necessarily do anything, but let's move forward with this curiosity of what do I will?